What's happening, y'all? Keeping it real with Fields here. Y'all already know who I am. I'm your host, Aaron Fields.
And I'm your co-host, JB.
We got a very special guest with us today, 6'5", the 6'5" legend, point guard, graduated from Ball State University, executive producer of Posted on the Corner, and host of Radio Hot 107.9. Sam Sirmons.
Man,
how
I
you doing,
appreciate
sir?
it. That is an incredible intro.
Yeah,
My brother, how he doing?
Doing well.
Man, I'm excited. That's a great. I wish I was the point guard. I wish I could live up to that. I was in the post. I wasn't bringing the ball up at all. My coach was like, "Hey, outlet." So
I don't know.
Yeah.
With all the Lucas stuff going on, I see you doing your thing. Hitting that. I see you.
all right, I'm not mad at that. Shoot or shoot.
So before we start off, what's your best pickup line? You have to get any girl, assuming that your
Okay.
relationship status is appropriate.
All right.
If you had to pick up any girl, what would be your go-to line?
Are you happy? And if you are happy, you can be happier.
Oh, okay. Hold on, that was valid.
That was cool.
valid. All right, what
cool.
you got, JB?
Nah, shoot. I was finna jump right into these questions, but that's like, bro, I ain't gonna lie. I'm gonna start using that. I'm gonna put that on my phone. I'm definitely gonna lock that in when I'm outside, bro.
You just gave the light-skinned warrior
Nah,
another
I'm
tool
just-
to succeed.
Hey, listen, you got for game, bro. You gotta use it.
He got another tool in his tool. Look at him.
Another
All he
tool.
gotta say is, "I'm JB."
I'm
And he's straight.
Y'all are hilarious, man. But nah, Mr. Sam, bro, we're gonna jump right in.
Yeah.
So as you said, you were host of Hot 107.9. So what inspired you to become a radio host, and how did you get your start in it?
So what initially started this whole radio journey was me basically just talking cash reckless on a mic during intramurals. So I wanted to go to college to play sports, but then didn't want to wake up at 4 a.m. So I was like, yep, about to be a civilian now. I'm not going to worry about the student athlete anymore. We're just going to be a student. So, but I still wanted to be active. So I picked up this intramural league and, they had a microphone. So I'm like, hey, can I, just do one game? And then one game turned to the rest of the season. And someone came up to me after one of the games and was like, hey, you should really try the campus radio station. And I hadn't even thought about this shit. I'm a business major. And I'm thinking like, okay, I'm pre-business. I'm, get my bachelor's and possibly go for my MBA, all this other stuff. I had a completely different path set in mind, but it switched when I got on the radio for the first time, and it just felt natural. It felt where I wanted to be. And from then on, like I switched the major, switched up the whole course, added an extra year. So I was a super senior, graduated in 5 years. And, went from a 1 hour time slot, and then we did 4 hours my senior year. We was running the yard at Ball State. So to really fall into it and love it, it was a blessing in disguise. And, talking to different people in different parts of my life, now looking back at it, like I've actually been preparing for that my entire life, to the point where I would get in trouble for talking in class. Like I was notorious for getting written up and sent home over that. But now I get, a check to, deliver opinions and curate, moments in the culture. So with what we do on Post on the Corner, it's like, we're going to give you, the gossip. We're going to give you the sports. We're going to give you the entertainment. We're going to give you music. And, on some real fire, like this delivery. Like you're not going to find a more exciting, electrifying show in radio right now, hands down.
That's hard.
So, how has the industry changed since you first came in?
So professionally, I came down here in 2012 in Atlanta, and I think the main difference is just the amount of consumption that we have. Like there's so many different things we have, because podcasting wasn't really that big when I first started. Now you got that, you got the streaming community wasn't even existent then. So you have that lane now. We had folks that we followed, but we didn't know they were influencers at the time. Now we have influencers, the people that you're calling to get stuff off the ground and getting rolling. So, your Kai Sinats, you got so many different streamers that are like, have made a living off being curators of the culture, that you just kind of looked at the people on TV, but now instead of the TV, it's like who's on your phone, who's able to log into their live and actually tap into. So I just feel like the amount of people that are actually in the culture has changed, but I think even how we consume it isn't just, all right, watch this TV show, go watch this movie, go listen to this music. It is so like vast now, and everyone has their own niche and lane. So I feel like it's as wide as ever been. I feel like there's a low entry level into it versus what it seemed to be. The gatekeepers were like, hey, here's what this is, here's what that is, and you either gotta pay the toll or you ain't gonna get in. Folks ain't worried about that now. It's just like we can, set this type stuff up right now and talk to the people they want to know, or they can start their own podcast, or they can start their own Twitch and things like that. It don't take nothing. Someone like literally can just be in front of a camera for like 24 hours and we were like, oh my gosh, what are they gonna do next? Like it's wild that we created like live events through stuff like this. And I think really the balloon of that was in the pandemic. I don't think without the pandemic we would have saw half the stuff we're doing right now.
Nah, for sure. Nah, so just to piggyback off that answer, do you feel like it's, I don't want to say easier, but people have a lot more access to do these type of things.
Mm-hmm.
Like say that they want to be where you are, they want to do what Aaron and I are doing. Like, do you think it's easier to access, or it's easier just to, in the day and age, it's easier to kickstart your, for lack of a better word, career in this profession?
I feel like it's easy. It's more so and I just got to use this example because I saw it recently. Like someone literally pulled up when Doechii went on her YouTube and shared it after she got fired from her job. I think it was like either Qdoba or Chipotle or one of the two. And now she's on stage winning a Grammy. Like people recording those moments, and then you have that as a reference point. Like no one was looking at someone getting fired from a job back then, but now once you have a huge moment and people want to know all about you and want to consume everything about you, if you have nothing from before that they can look to and like, oh, this is where it started, this is the origin point. Like it's whatever you're going to put out there, just put out there. That's something I got to tell myself a lot because I have a podcast that's been on a indefinite hiatus, but I know I have material I'm sitting on. And I'm like, what am I waiting for? But, from time, life gets in the way, life changes. Things always happen. Right. But you just got to put it out there. That's the difference versus you don't necessarily need to go into a whole studio. Oh, we need a light crew and a camera crew and this, that, and the other, and trying to pay all these people that you may not make money off of initially. Right. You can literally grab a $10 microphone thing from TikTok Shop. You can get a stand from the TikTok Shop and use your phone and just start talking into it until it blow up. Like you can literally keep the cost low. That's the beauty of it. Like in media, it's been great to been using these multi-million-dollar boards and this, that, and the other, but I know some of the best content I've created and captured has been off my phone that I'm always gonna have in my hand and on my person at all times anyway. So you just got to make the thing right. Like I've been at the White House with my iPhone and been able to shoot that out to millions of people. It's just what it is. You don't always have to have the Canon or the Sony, this, that, and the other. I'm like, it's cool to have. Not going to knock it. It's a great product. But how far we've come in like the low entry level stuff that's accessible, that's not going to break open the bank, you can do it.
You see how you just called like half our setup out?
I'm just saying, we doing exactly what he sent us to do.
I'm just saying, like, y'all can literally get in where you fit in. Don't sit here and feel like you have to go to somebody's, this week we're going to do this and we can edit it for you. You got to learn how to edit. You got to do your own stuff. Like, you can't sit here and wait for someone to do something for you when you can do it yourself.
Y'all heard that? Nah, yeah, I don't think the people heard that. I don't think they heard that.
I'm going to tell you again, you ain't got to sit here and pay and look for something else or have someone else do something for you that you are capable and able to do yourself.
Now listen, bro, I'm going to piggyback off that. If you wait for the perfect opportunity, it's never going to come, bro. It's never going to come, bro. Never.
What are
we doing at the HBCUs?
Nah, that's too much, bro. Y'all funny, bro. So, just, we're talking about podcasts, talking about radio shows and the evolution that you've seen in the industry over the past couple of years you've been in the industry. So how has the rise of podcasts and streaming platforms kind of impacted traditional radio?
It's made radio stations actually get into that world. You got to take into account that I think radio personalities were the first influencers, so you got to take that into account. And people have always wanted to know, okay, so what happens when show goes off? And I've been around heavy hitters that have been like, if you saw their life off air, y'all be like, we want to watch that. So some stations have figured out, okay, we got to put webcams in the studio and just like be able to record whenever. And then, there's some interviews that go extremely long or you can't put all of it on the air. So we've always had the YouTube platform. But, if we're on the go and you want to hear just in an audio standpoint, you can put it out in the podcast. There's so many niches and things like that in regards to the categories that you can possibly be in, whether you want to do like, for radio, it's just like extended interviews, long form interviews versus like if you're doing like true crime. Like I know one of my friends out in Vegas that's like a true crime, like they go in and dig into crimes that have been unsolved and cold cases, and they've actually helped solve some of these cases. It's like some of the things you get into can turn into like hard hitting stuff, and it's not just all entertainment, not just all like, oh, we gonna kick back and cut up. Like you can actually make a difference. And truth be told, some of the best hard hitting stuff has come from independent people that just, instead of being like, oh, well, we've done our own research and this, that, and the other. Like, I get it. But at the same time, if you focus in on what you want to do and can be really good at that, and you have a passion for it, it's going to deliver the results. So when it comes from a podcasting kind of not affecting, but also making sure radio doesn't get lost in translation, because at the end of the day, radio ain't going nowhere. And I want to like look in the camera and say this: radio's not going anywhere because it's not. Like we have the infrastructure that's stood the test of time. TV didn't kill it. Streaming like from Pandora, Spotify, that didn't kill it. Like we're still doing good business, and especially in Black communities, radio is something we've always leaned on. That's in our DNA. Whether you grew up with Tom Joyner, whether you grew up with Ricky Smiley, whether you grew up with Steve Harvey, like all of these people, we listen to the radio. That's how we started our days, and the connection that Black people have with radio isn't being changed, tarnished, or anything like that. It's just sometimes you forget about it or you don't realize you're being exposed to it, but we still here and we do good business. So, yeah.
That's tough. That's tough.
I want to pick up off something you said earlier. You said, life happens and that caused a lot of things. So everybody they look at Sam Sirmons, they're like, oh, executive producer, radio host, like, oh my gosh, like his life's so great. But like you said, life happens. We all have our struggles. So what has been your biggest challenge moving through your career?
My biggest challenge has always been the work-life balance. I feel like if I get too focused on my personal, my work suffers. And then if I get too locked in on my work, my personal life suffers. So it's been managing relationships. It's been managing the time I need to spend with my loved ones. Because radio doesn't go off. The way the news cycle is, like I don't get to clock out when the show ends. There's something to be done. There's something that needs to get sent out. There's something that's got to get edited. There's something we're working on for tomorrow. I got to call this artist and make sure, hey, are you going to be here? If you're not, we got to make provisions. So understanding that the job is what I do, but not who I am. And that's a hard line I'm now drawing in boundaries and understanding like I can't sit here and expect my job to respect my personal life. Like I'm grateful right now I don't have any responsibilities at home like raising a child. That's gonna change a lot of things. Right now, I'm giving all of my energy and all my effort right now. So when I am to the point where I'm in my 40s and this, that, and the other, and established all the way I want to be, I can't kick back. This is my hard time where I won't be answering anyone's phone calls and this, that, and the other, and we'll check back in tomorrow. Right now, I'm in like we gonna keep grinding. I want it more than anyone else in this position. So instead of looking at it from a standpoint of I'm not gonna make it and I'm in a survival mode, it's just like, I just want it more than anyone else that I come in contact with. So the way I look at it is if either one of y'all brothers want this spot, I want y'all to have it, but I'm not gonna hand it to you. That's the difference. The game that I want to give and make sure the next person that looks like me that's able to be in this seat, I got to make sure that they understand it took a lot of work, a lot of sleepless nights and this, that, and the other to get right here. But I'm not just going to be like, oh, you can have it. Because personally, I'm competitive as hell. So it's cool. I like the competition. Like I want someone to come up like that's graduated from Morehouse and be like, hey, I'm ready to take your spot. Because I had that same mentality coming out of Ball State. I'm like, I'm about to put at least 3 people out of a job because I know how to do too much. I ended up doing that. I've outlasted a lot of people I started shows with that weren't there. I seen shows come and go, but I was the only constant. So I don't take that by luck or happenstance. It's a choice that I made to be like, I'm gonna be him, whether you like it or not. And I gotta mention that I'm not in the seat without a black woman putting me on. So I'm just gonna be honest. The disconnect that sometimes happens and feel like I'm self-made, no, absolutely not. KB, Kathy Brown, made sure I understood what Atlanta radio landscape looked like before I even got here. And I never forgot, like, she told me the same thing I'm telling y'all. I'm like, if you want my job, if you big and bad enough to take it, take it. But I'm not handing it to you. So if you want to be in this seat, in this position, being 20 some odd markets, this, that, and the other, doing market visits and this concert at the White House, this, that, you can do it. But I'm just not going to hand it to you. Want it, earn it. That's it.
That's real.
Nah, that's deep, bro. That's hard. Like, he got me ready to run through the raw right now, bro. Nah, like, what I took away from that is just, you always on the clock, never stopping, and you just got to be gritty. You got to, like, differentiate yourself from everyone else who's trying to be in this position. Like, how can you get one leg up on another person? Just like you said, no handouts, bro. No handouts. I feel like that's important, too, especially for people like me and Aaron who are trying to get to where you are and where we want to be personally. That's great advice. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate you touching on that. For sure.
Absolutely, but I also want to make sure that you don't lose your integrity in the process.
Mhm.
I know a lot of people that will literally like, I know this your boy, but you may undercut him like, hey, I can do this. He ain't like, they'll do that. I work with those people. They've never really paid off. And I'll say like, it's easier to make sure your left and your right is straight than versus being like, let me cut you at the knees and make sure I'm straight. Like, cause that stuff always comes around. Like if you have a reputation in this business, it's an ugly stain that doesn't go away. So once someone like literally puts a line through your name and not under it, that's when things change. And I'm gonna make sure y'all understand this real quick. So if someone was to bring your name up in any conversation, if they put the line through your name, you're not getting the call back. You're not gonna get the exclusive. You're not gonna be, on the guest list. If they put an under your name, they're making sure we got to make sure that person's here. We got to make sure that person is like wherever we at, they got to be there. We got to make sure this person's value is shown because clearly they're important enough to put the line underneath it. Emphasis on you versus, all right, then. Because a lot of people got a lot of lines through them and they still trying to do it and they don't understand that they have a line through their name at this point in time. And there's a slim chance. It's almost like being canceled, truth be told. In this industry, if you get your line through your name and not under it, it's hard to come back from that. There's not a lot of redemption stories, especially if you're behind the scenes. Like the calls just stop. The conversations just stop. So if you're going to really do it and do it the right way, make sure they put the line under your name and not through it.
That's a good advice, man. You
Word.
preaching.
Came in for a sermon today, man.
I was saying,
Hey, man.
Hey.
Word. Nah, I mean, shoot. So as an executive producer, as posted on the corner,
Yeah.
like two questions tied into one.
Okay.
What does your day-to-day look like as an executive producer?
Okay.
And what is one common misconception that comes with being an executive producer?
So the day-to-day is me getting up, figuring out what meetings that we may have. On Mondays, we got meetings. Wednesdays, we got meetings. Tuesdays, we got meetings. And just trying to figure out, all right, so what do I need to be prepared for today? Is it a local meeting or is it a syndication meeting? Kind of making sure we have a happy balance because even though we broadcast out of Atlanta, we serve so many different areas. You got to make sure they good too. So differentiating what the need is at that moment. I got to have communication with my talent. All right, here's what we got coming up today, whether it be an interview, whether it be a contest we got to execute, making sure they're in the loop. I'm responsible for that. I come in, make sure the show is set. I make sure commercials are straight, live reads, endorsements, all the things are lined up. And then it's time for showtime. I got to make sure my talent is always in the best light. And basically what I do is I'm the GM and head coach of my team. I'm basically the Pat Riley. I got to make sure the offense is running good. I got to make sure the defense is running straight. And I got to drop the best plays from my talent because I got two incredible talents in Incognito and DJ Misses. I've been a part of some amazing teams, but to be with the young side of energy, the in the culture, they just get it. I don't have to really coach them too well. It's more so just like making sure, hey, here's what we got to hit, boom, 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 and they're gonna slam dunk it every time. That makes my job a lot easier. They're capable, they understand radio, so it's not like I have to coach them and to be like, hey, so you got to reset, and they know exactly what that means. Got to make sure, like, coming off of a break, hey, back sell this song, make sure people know what it is. Mention the social media, they do all the details. I have one of the best jobs in the world, and also it's sometimes easy, but at the same time, what I do behind the scenes and making sure everything flows as it should on air. There's a lot of things behind the scenes to make sure it stays that way. So that's where I come in to clean up any messes, put out any fires. Oh, well, this commercial isn't in. I got to go find it now. Whatever the case may be, like I got an email this morning. I got to figure out what I got this thing for because all the numbers look right. So someone's got to tell me something. Mm-hmm. I got an email that I don't normally get. So we've got to have that conversation. But I think the thing that people get misconstrued about what I do is like I just pull up and people see that, oh, we meet celebrities and we hanging out and doing cool stuff and we just have fun all day. We do, actually. But at the same time, there's so much work that gets put in behind the scenes that no one's going to see or realize or put in. Like, I'm working on shows for Monday already. I know we haven't even done Friday's show yet. We got a local announcement. We got to make sure that folks know about Birthday Bash, which is coming up this summer. A special announcement coming up. I would love to give the exclusive, but I like my job. So just make sure you follow Hot 107.9 ATL on social media, and you'll find out exactly what I'm referring to. But it's making sure everything stays on course because there's so many things that can fall through the cracks from a live read being missed. If they got live call-ins, they got to make sure, hey, are they placed? Are they getting done? And really, the money that we make is through advertisement. So if an advertiser either needs an extra spot or we got to make good on something, I got to make sure the paperwork looks right. I got to physically look at it. I got to hear it. There's so many different parts. It's not just me. All right, I'm in the corner just laying back, kicking it. It's not that. It is an ongoing math problem at the end of the day because I'm always calculating how much time do we got left, how much time we got here. All right, at the end of the day, I can't get 60 more minutes into 60 minutes. I can't try to make a 65-minute show into 60 minutes. It won't happen. So I got to figure out what I got to chop out. What do we have to do? All right, this got to get cut out. They ain't gonna like it, but we gotta stay on time because we ain't messing up the church's money. So it's a ongoing it's algebra in a sense. I got to make sure the culture is represented. I got to make sure our music sounds right. I got to make sure my talent knows everything they need to know. And I really got to be like, not the smartest person in the room, but I got to be the most knowledgeable person in the room. Because if something happens and I got to tell them, hey, real quickly, this is what this is, regurgitate that. Or, hey, we got to quickly go into this, break, go into spots. Like, I got to be able to control the moment as it happens. That's what it is. It's not just us sitting there in a room talking to ourselves, because that's what radio is. Until y'all interact with us, we are literally just talking into a microphone like this and hoping y'all are enjoying it on the other end, hoping y'all laughing with us. Yeah. But that's what it is. It's theater of the mind. We try to, go live so we can actually have the interaction with y'all. But at the end of the radio was literally just built with a person in a room and a microphone, and it gets broadcast to a lot of homes and a lot of cars and a lot of phones, this, that, and the other. So you got to make sure we're engaging, we're entertaining, but we're also informing at the same time.
What I got from that, very time oriented. And
you got to be
very time oriented. And it's like something my grandmother's has like been a testament of my whole life. Is like you got to make do with the time you have. You only got 24 hours in a day. What are you gonna do in those 24 hours? You know what I'm saying? And now I can just attest to that for sure. Like I'm ready, bro.
So,
yeah.
You heard his analogy. He know ball. He might be a radio host, but don't get it twisted. He be in sports. He said I'm the head coach in the gym.
He used to have Riley. He oversees all, bro.
Yeah. He's throwing bars. But listen, Mr. Sam, it's Morehouse College, HBCU.
Facts.
Keeping Real with Fields. It wouldn't be me if I didn't ask this question now.
Talk to me.
How do you use your platform to uplift the Black voices?
So the Black voices that are needed and necessary, especially in the time we're living in right now, is more essential than ever. Personally, I have to seek out people that look like you, people that look like me, young voices that make us who we are. I find that Atlanta having 4 HBCUs in the city is the most special place in America to be black in. Being from Indiana, I was exposed to HBCUs through Circle City Classic. So when I would go down every summer to, see your Alabama A&M, see your Southerns, see your Tennessee States and things like that, that was my only outlet to HBCU culture and seeing what that was even like. So now living in Atlanta since 2012, seeing it, living it, breathing it, it's more than your homecomings, even though that's legendary. It's more than, just throwing on some letters or throwing on, whatever the case may be and representing that. It's literally what it stands for. So understanding that our history and our culture go hand in hand into what we do to work for an all black company like I do with Reach Media and Radio One is essential to make sure that we are telling black stories from our perspective. So to make sure I'm doing that, I'm making sure I'm on the ground with you guys. I'm making sure I'm reaching out to whatever anyone asks us to do with a college. Okay, we got to make sure they see this and that it's tangible. Because sometimes people forget about radio until it's right in their face. When the ice storm that happened, I'll never forget working in radio for like 18 hours and just like taking phone calls about people getting stranded, people that were like, just like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what my kids are right now because they're stuck on school buses trying to get home. It's like people turn the radio during, emergency moments because we're one of those mediums that you can still use because let's just be honest right now. Not every home is capable to have, cable television, things like that. Even your car may not have the CD player working, this, that, and the other, the Bluetooth working, yeah. But the radio is going to be there, some shape, form, or fashion. And I feel that if there was something that was to ever happen in a city like this, where at least I've been on the radio when Prince passed, I've been on the radio with the Ahmaud Arbery trial. I was an intern when Trayvon Martin happened. People tune into the radio in those moments to try to make sense of those things, and because they have a feeling and emotion in a city like Atlanta, like it's tied into it. It's in the fabric of who we are. So whether you like it, love it, hate it, or having any type of feeling about it, you've always been able to call into the radio station, whether it be the heritage stations such as a V103, which I used to work for, or Hot 107.9, which is also another heritage hip hop station here, the first one that played hip hop 24/7. It's needed. It's essential. And there's no way we can continue to thrive in our industry without understanding that black people will keep us employed. It's not. We can't ever set up a blockade or anything like that to keep y'all from sharing y'all existence, y'all truth, y'all reality. It just wouldn't work. And our company wasn't even founded off of that. Miss Kathy Hughes literally makes sure that even when it comes to black business, y'all got a platform. Like we'll make it happen. You ain't always got to buy with us. Least we can do is promote you. We're gonna do that. I feel strongly about HBCUs because I understand what it's given us, and to keep pouring back into those HBCUs that are turning out leaders, vice presidents of the United States of America, things like that. Like we are making things happen, and these institutions now that are being attacked and having scholarship money stripped away, and now they're back, thank God. But at the same time, like people are playing in our face in that regard, and I can't be a part of someone that's like, oh, I didn't do anything about that. I didn't step up and make sure, and I advocated enough for brothers like you and our sisters that are trying to better themselves, trying to give back to our community through education, whatever field they go in, they gonna need the education to do so. And to even have the need for HBCUs in the beginning because we couldn't go to the public schools. So I understand it on a whole different level. It's almost like Chris Paul went to Wake Forest, but I don't know if there's another active NBA player that's really written his heart for HBCUs publicly and made sure it always gave it a platform the way he has. I'm grateful to see that there are, Heisman winners that went to an HBCU. I'm grateful to know that there are like NFL Hall of Famers that went to HBCUs, NBA Hall of Famers that went to HBCUs because they all matter. And I'm grateful that, at least y'all generation have found a whole new cultural relevance in it. I don't think my generation saw enough of it. Trust me, there was no lack and no downplay of it. But in the Midwest, there's not a lot of well, I say the only HBCU in Indiana, always underfunded, and I never saw anything from them. So it's not to shade them. It's like my exposure rate to them wasn't as much. But I do want to say in 2025 that the education and the products of HBCUs need to be continue to be put on the forefront. And I'm gonna do everything that I can to make sure it stays in the forefront because it can't become an afterthought.
Yeah.
Dropping gems on us.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. So leading into my next question, like you said, you had touched on it earlier. Well, something that I've just been hearing like throughout Morehouse or out in the world, and even from you is like you belong in whatever room you put yourself in, and it's not about getting a seat at the table. If it's not a seat, you build a seat. You build a seat at the table. So in saying that, how do you move? Like, how do you move and be your authentic self, especially in predominantly white spaces?
That's a great question. Growing up and going to a PWI and experiencing what I experienced, I wish that on nobody. It's it's a reality, and I'm glad that I had that experience because I know what the real world looks like in a sense. I know how mainstream America reacts to things and things like that, but I think I would have a better sense of self from an HBCU education. I see my best friends who are Morehouse graduates, who are Clark graduates, who are Spelman graduates, and I just feel like they carry themselves in a different type of way because they had that reinforcing them in college. Um, they don't necessarily do that at PWIs, ladies and gentlemen. They don't. They don't care. The things I tell Ball State graduates is that they give you the instructions and all the parts to build a car, but it's up to you to build it. I feel like at HBCUs, it's more so like, man, they're gonna give you the car. They're going to give you everything you need out of that car, and they're going to even help push you into the right direction. I think that's the difference versus, hey, this is an assembly line. Y'all do what y'all got to do. I feel like the sense of belonging, the sense of culture, like to put together a friendship that you see now. It's a hot take right now, but I'm gonna need y'all to just follow me. The friendships and the relationships that you have in the movies Girls Trip and the movies that Tyler Perry together with Why Did I Get Married, all those people met in the HBCU. So those dynamics not being weird or anything, like they all started at a HBCU and they went in their own directions, but also remained close knit enough that that's what their relationship and dynamic grew into. So I just feel like the importance and the relevance and the substance that you get from an HBCU is something that you can't even quantify. I'm gonna push my nephew and niece to go to an HBCU if that they want to continue their education process because trade schools are so booming as well. At the same time, the level of excellence that is produced from HBCUs is unmatched, hands down. I don't have a pushback by any dollar amount of HBCU choose to charge. I'm like, y'all make it worth it and then some. It's not about an alumni network. It's not about what letters you have, anything like that. Like a Morehouse man in the city of Atlanta, it carries a different weight.
That's for sure.
That ticket is going to take you to rooms that you feel like, I don't know how the hell I got in here. It's the facts. I'm not gonna sit here and ever downplay anything else. And I'm just speaking to two Morehouse future graduates. That alone is going to set you apart when it comes to job interviews and this day and that because they know the type of caliber person and character that comes from Morehouse. That's going to get you the second interview off top versus, my PWI. Love Ball State. Not going to ever say disparaging things about them, but there's always been an issue with PWIs, and Ohio State is now going to see with their rollback of DEI what that looks like. Florida just went through it, and Emmett Smith talking very, very opinionated against what they were doing due to Governor DeSantis' decisions down that way. It's hard. I understand that we see sports as the ticket to get to the next level and play professional sports. But I'm really, really hoping that this upcoming generation even sees your talents aren't just only needed and warranted at Power Five schools. You can get on at an HBCU. You can stay popping at an HBCU. And I feel like the culture and understanding and being seen as who you are and the value that you have is so much more important here than anywhere else you can go in the country. I don't think there's a booster in America that's messing with someone's auntie and uncle that's gonna look out for you while you down at HBCU. I don't care how much money they got. To have someone that actually sees you who you are and not what you do on the field and what you do on the court. It's hands down. Like, it's just the facts. It's the facts.
Paid sponsorship, bro. Come to Morehouse. Come to HBCU. Apply. You heard it
The
here first.
AUC is popping, whether it's Spelman, Clark Atlanta, Morehouse, Morris Brown. You've got choices.
Word.
You've got choices. Make the one that fits you and make it work for you. Because it's going to work.
I appreciate you being a huge advocate in terms of trying to get people to, realize the gravity going to HBCU has and being in that space. And also just to tie back into what you were saying earlier, it's just like you have to walk into those rooms and you have to feel like you belong. If you don't feel like you belong, that's your first misstep. Like if you walk into a room, people may not look like you, people may not be like you, but you have to walk in there and be like, I belong here. And like this is my purpose, and I'm walking into my purpose. So I appreciate you touching on that for sure.
I'll even double down and say that even if you're in a room that you aren't comfortable in and that you don't feel that you belong in, you have to be there anyway because it's not just for you. End of the day, the way I've seen it and experienced it, I've made sure that whatever room I either enter or leave, it has to be better than how I entered it. It has to be. I don't want to be the last person, from my institution of Ball State to be where I'm at. Like, if I feel, I even said that, like, the most famous person that came from my college, probably David Letterman. Had a very successful career. He started doing this radio stuff, but got on. I want to take it further than David Letterman. I don't want to build nothing like that the way he does. I just want to bench. I ain't gonna hold you. My contribution gonna be kind of limited. I ain't gonna lie to you right now. But just in understanding that I can't be the last one to ever set foot in that room. Even if I decide it's not for me, make sure you don't leave a bad enough taste in whoever's mouth is in there, or a bad experience, whoever may be in that room. Because unfortunately, you're always representing the culture at all times. It doesn't matter if it's, in a side hallway conversation on the yacht. We are always representing all Black people at the same time. And you may be the only representation of a Black person in wherever you're at. So you always got to hold yourself to a high standard, even in those difficult moments where you're ready to throw bows and, clear a room out. But you got to understand that there's a time and place for everything. Unless you plan to literally burn that bridge all the way through, you got to always keep your chin up, keep your crown on straight, and don't worry about all the small stuff.
You know what he just did, bro? You know what he just did?
What?
He kept it real, bro. Nah, we appreciate you stopping by. I'm gonna, one more just like to lighthearted question. You got 10 seconds to answer, all right?
All right.
Dead or alive? Dead or alive?
Okay.
Your dream interview. Go.
Dream interview. I'm talking to Prince.
Okay.
Hands down. He's my favorite artist. I actually saw him live at the Fox Theater shortly before his death. So it's like, I wish we had gotten the full tour he was planning to do. I wish I could literally pick into his mind about his business acumen and understanding that owning everything that comes along with who you are, from publishing to masters to like just the whole business model he was really getting ready to pull off. That's what I want to talk to. I feel like he really understood his worth and had no problem like helping people out privately. Like, hey, here's what you need to do. But he also didn't give the game up for free. It's like, if you didn't ask him, he wasn't going to tell you. So that's the conversation I would have loved to have.
Nah, just a second, Dak. I think I can second to Aaron. Like, we appreciate you stopping by, dropping some gems on us, keeping it real. Now we really do appreciate you stopping by.
And I appreciate y'all.
Nah, for sure. Nah, appreciate it.
Come on now.
Make sure y'all check out Posted on the Corner and Hot 107.9.
Yes, sir.
Make sure you stay tuned for that birthday badge.
Woo!
Stay tuned, man. Stay tuned, bro.
Hey, if you ain't in Atlanta watching this, make sure you're in Atlanta for birthday badge. I can't say nothing else, but understand our pop-outs are legendary. Legendary.
Word. Keep it real, man. Keep it real. Now, I appreciate y'all for watching, man. We'll be back with another episode soon, bro.